What's up, everybody? Blessed be. My name is Manon, and you are watching Witch in the Working, where we will be discussing all things witchy in and around, throughout and about, above, below, and beyond. Please visit me on my other platforms as well, including Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon, all linked down in the description below. The full script of this video and most of the others is available on my Patreon account for download if desired to build your own Witch in the Working Book of Shadows. Do you need help with a spell or fancy a tarot reading? Shoot on over to my store, Bewitching and Bizarre, linked down in the description below for your personalized working and or reading. So the world of spirituality, witchcraft, and magic can be pretty vast and sometimes confusing, especially when we start talking about terms like the left-hand path and the right-hand path. I'm sure most of you have heard these two terms before in your magical journeys. These two paths are often mentioned in discussions about magic, the occult, and different spiritual practices. But what exactly do they actually mean? In this episode of Witch in the Working, we're going to talk all about the left-hand and right-hand paths. Let's get into it and roll the intro. Welcome back, everyone. The left-hand path, LHP, and the right-hand path, RHP, aren't actual roads or directions, but rather two different approaches to spirituality and magic. Think of them as two sides of the same coin. They both deal with energy, power, and personal growth, but they go about it in very different ways. The right-hand path is typically associated with ideas like harmony, unity, and working within the structure of the universe. People who follow this path often believe in a higher power or force, like a god or goddess, and see their role as being part of something bigger than themselves. They aim to align their energy with this greater force, seeking to become one with it or to live in balance with the universe. It's like they're following a set of cosmic rules, using magic or spirituality to improve their lives while staying within those guidelines. On the other hand, the left-hand path is more about individual power and breaking away from the norm. People who follow this path often focus on personal empowerment, becoming their own master rather than following a higher power or set of spiritual rules. They see magic as a tool to shape their reality according to their own will. The LHP can be more rebellious, aiming to go beyond conventional morals and beliefs, allowing the practitioner to carve out their own destiny. Historically, the idea of separating spirituality into left and right comes from ancient cultures. In Hinduism, for example, you'll find references to left and right-hand practices. Right-hand practices were more traditional and conservative and socially acceptable. Left-hand practices, however, were often seen as more radical, secretive, and sometimes dangerous. In the Western world, these concepts became popular with people who studied magic, occultism, and mysticism. Over time, the left-hand path came to be associated with practices that focus on self-deification, which is making yourself like a god, and exploring the darker aspects of magic, while the right-hand path leaned toward enlightenment, goodness, and unity with the divine. Why do we call them the left-hand path and the right-hand path anyway? It's not because one hand's better than the other, but because humans have been associating with the right side of things with goodness and on the left side with the unknown for a very long time. In many cultures, the right side of the body or direction is considered good or holy. For example, the right hand is often used for blessings or positive actions. The left side, however, is linked with mystery, rebellion, and the other side of life. In magic, these ideas carried over, and now the left-hand path is often thought of as the path of individuality and rebellion, while the right-hand path is seen as the path of unity and tradition. In simple terms, the right-hand path is about working with the flow of the universe, following certain spiritual laws or traditions. If you're on this path, you might work with the energy of the moon, seasons, and gods or goddesses. You'll probably practice rituals that are meant to bring balance and peace to your life and the world around you. Think of it like swimming with the current. It's easier and you're going with the flow of nature. The left-hand path, on the other hand, is about taking control of your own power, even if it means going against the flow of the universe. You might practice more intense rituals that focus on transforming yourself, breaking down boundaries, and using your willpower to create change. It's like swimming upstream, not necessarily easier, but it gives you a sense of control over your own destiny. It's really important to understand that neither path is good or bad. They're just different approaches to spirituality. This right-hand path isn't better because it's more traditional, and the left-hand path isn't evil because it's more rebellious. In fact, Most people find themselves blending the two paths, picking and choosing what works best for them from both sides. Ultimately, the paths are about personal choice. The right-hand path might be for someone who seeks to connect with a higher power and live in harmony with the world. The left-hand path might appeal to someone who wants to explore their own potential and take a more individualistic route in life. Both paths are valid and each have their own strengths. The left-hand path and the right-hand path take different approaches to how you as a person fit into the universe. It all boils down to two big ideas: self-deification and self-transcendence. The word deification basically means becoming like a god. So self-deification is the idea that you can become your own god or have the power to control your own life, your destiny, and the world around you. This concept is a big part of the left-hand path. People that follow this path believe that they don't need to rely on any higher powers like gods or spirits to achieve their goals. They believe in themselves and their own powers. Think of it like this: if you were to follow the left-hand path, you'd be focusing on developing yourself to be the best, most powerful version of you. You're not trying to merge with a god or higher power. Instead, you're working on mastering your own mind, body, and spirit. You would use magic to achieve things like success, confidence, strength, or wisdom, all based on your own abilities. Self-deification is about realizing that you have the ability to shape your world according to your own will. It's like playing a video game where you're in charge of making your character as powerful as possible, and then you level up, learn new skills, and make decisions that change the course of your story. The key thing here is independence and personal empowerment. Now let's look at the idea of self-transcendence, which is the main focus of the right-hand path. To transcend something means to go beyond it. So in this case, self-transcendence means going beyond yourself and connecting with someone greater than you, like a god, the universe, or some higher power. People who follow the right-hand path often believe that true happiness, wisdom, and peace come from connecting with something larger than themselves. Instead of focusing on personal power, they try to align with the universe or a divine force. For them, spirituality is about letting go of the ego, the part of you that's focused on me, and merging with the flow of life. You're not trying to control everything around you. Instead, you're trusting that the universe has a plan and you're working to be in harmony with it. Imagine it like this. If you were on the right-hand path, you might picture yourself as a drop of water in a huge ocean. Instead of trying to control the ocean, you'd accept that you're part of something much bigger, and your goal would be to go with the flow, trust the process, and seek peace in that connection. Your magic and spiritual practices would likely focus on things like healing, balance, and unity, for instance. Okay, so we've got these two big ideas, self-deification and self-transcendence. But what's the real difference? Well, it all comes down to how you see yourself in relation to the universe. On the left-hand path, the focus is on you. You're working to empower yourself, break free from limitations, and create your own reality. You're not looking to follow someone else's rules or submit to a higher power. You're in charge of your own life. It's kind of like being your own hero in the story of your life. On the right-hand path, the focus shifts to something bigger than just you. You're trying to understand your place in the universe, connect with a higher power, and live in harmony with that force. It's less about controlling things and more about trusting the universe's flow and working with its structure. Here's the cool thing. Neither path is better or worse, like I said earlier. They're just different ways of looking at life and spirituality. Some people are drawn to the idea of self-empowerment and control, while others prefer the idea of peace, unity, and trust in a higher power. For example, let's say you're someone who loves setting goals, achieving them, and pushing your limits. The left-hand path might feel like the right fit for you because it focuses on using your own willpower to create the life you want. But maybe you're someone who finds peace in meditation, nature, or trusting that things happen for a reason. In that case, the right-hand path might resonate more with you because it emphasizes going with the flow and connecting with something larger than yourself. You might be wondering if you have to pick one path or the other. Truth is, many people mix the elements of both paths together. It's like creating your own recipe for spirituality. Maybe you like the independence and power of the left-hand path, but also feel comfort in the idea of connecting with the universe like the right-hand path teaches. The important thing is to explore what feels right for you. Everyone's spiritual journey is unique, and what works for one person might not work for another. The key is to find a balance that makes you feel empowered and connected. When we talk about magic and spirituality, we often hear about gods, goddesses, spirits, and other supernatural beings. But how do these beings fit into the left-hand path and the right-hand path? First off, let's talk about what we mean by deities and spirits. A deity is another word for a god or goddess, a powerful divine being that people often worship or work with in spiritual practices. You've probably heard of many deities from different cultures, like Zeus from Greek mythology or Thor from Norse mythology. These deities are usually seen as having control over certain parts of life, like love, war, or nature. Spirits, on the other hand, can be a little different. They might not be as powerful or worshipped in the same way as deities, but they're still supernatural beings. Spirits could be ancestors, nature spirits, or other entities that exist in the spiritual realm. People often call upon spirits for guidance, protection, and help with rituals. Now that we know what deities and spirits are, let's see how they fit into these two paths. If you follow the right-hand path, you're likely to view deities and spirits as higher beings that are part of the natural order of the universe. People on the right-hand path usually believe that these deities have power over certain areas of life and that humans can connect with them to find guidance, protection, and wisdom. Imagine it like this. You're walking through life and you believe that the gods and goddesses are there to help you on your journey. You might pray to them, perform rituals in their honor, or ask them for blessings. Many people on the right-hand path see their relationship with deity as one of respect and harmony. They want to work with these higher powers to live a good life and stay connected to the universe. For example, in Wicca, which is typically seen as a right-hand path tradition, practitioners often work with the god and goddess. They honor these deities and perform rituals to align themselves with the energy of the divine. It's a relationship based on respect, trust, and the idea that the deities know what's best for the universe. The left-hand path takes a different approach when it comes to deities and spirits. People on this path might still work with gods and goddesses and spirits, but they don't see these beings as something to bow down to or worship. Instead, they see them as forces that can be understood, controlled, or even become part of their own power. Remember how we talked about self-deification earlier? On the left-hand path, the goal is often to become like a god yourself. So instead of asking a deity for help, you might focus on understanding their power and using it to improve your own strength and abilities. It's less about worship and more about partnership or even mastery. For example, some left-hand path traditions like Luciferianism or certain forms of Satanism might work with figures like Lucifer, but instead of worshiping Lucifer, practitioners see Lucifer as a symbol of personal freedom, rebellion, and enlightenment. They aim to harness that energy for their own personal growth, not to follow or serve a deity. Spirits play a role in both the left-hand path and the right-hand path, but the way people interact with them can differ. On the right-hand path, spirits might be seen as guides or helpers. Practitioners may call on spirits during rituals to seek advice, protection, or healing. It's often done with a sense of respect for the spiritual world and the rules that come with it. On the left-hand path, spirits can be seen as tools to achieve specific goals. Practitioners might summon spirits to gain knowledge, power, or help in their personal transformation. The relationship is often more about using the spirit's abilities to further the practitioner's own goals rather than seeking spiritual guidance. The big difference between how the left-hand path and the right-hand path view deities and spirits comes down to the relationship people have with them. On the right-hand path, deities and spirits are often seen as higher powers that you work with or honor. There's a sense of respect, and the goal is to live in harmony with these forces. On the left-hand path, deities and spirits are seen as forces to be understood, harnessed, or even mastered. Practitioners may work with these beings, but the focus is on personal empowerment, not worship or submission. It's about using the energy of the divine or spiritual realm to advance your own path. When it comes to the left-hand path and the right-hand path, one of the biggest differences is how people practice rituals and what they want to achieve with their magic. Rituals are a big part of many spiritual traditions, and both paths use them, but they have different styles, goals, and energies behind them. Before we jump into how the left-hand path and right-hand path use rituals, let's define what a ritual is. A ritual is basically a ceremony or a series of actions that have symbolic meaning. In magic, rituals are used to focus energy, set intentions, and connect with spiritual forces like deities or spirits, or with your inner self. For example, lighting candles, chanting, or casting a circle for protection are all parts of rituals that help you focus on what you want to accomplish, whether that's protection, healing, or personal empowerment. Rituals are powerful tools because they help people focus their energy and intentions in a way that can bring real results. On the right-hand path, rituals are often focused on harmony, balance, and spiritual unity. The goal of these rituals is to connect with a higher power, whether it's a god, goddess, or the universe itself. Practitioners on this path often believe that they're part of a bigger picture, and their rituals are about finding peace and balance in that larger picture. Let's say you're doing a right-hand path ritual. You might light candles, say prayers, or perform chants to connect with the energy of the divine. The point is to align yourself with the natural flow of the universe. You're not trying to control or change anything. You're working with the energy that's already there to bring healing, peace, or balance into your life. A common example of a right-hand path ritual would be a full moon ritual in Wicca, for instance. During the full moon, many Wiccans perform rituals to harness the moon's energy for growth, healing, and spiritual insight. They might cast a circle, light candles, and call upon the god and goddess to bless them. The idea is to be in harmony with the natural cycles of the moon and the universe, using that energy to improve their lives in a positive and balanced way. On the left-hand path, rituals have a very different focus. Instead of aiming for harmony and balance, practitioners of the LHP often perform rituals to achieve personal empowerment, transformation, and control over their own lives. It's about using magic to break free from limitations, whether those are social, personal, or even spiritual. If you're doing a left-hand path ritual, you're not just going with the flow, you're shaping the flow to match your will. These rituals are all about becoming stronger, more powerful, and more in control of your own destiny. Practitioners of the LHP often see themselves as taking control of their own lives, rather than relying on a higher power to guide them. For example, a practitioner of the LHP might perform a ritual of self-transformation. They could use candles, symbols, or chants to focus on a specific goal, like gaining more confidence, breaking through personal fears, or even achieving success. Instead of asking for guidance or blessings from a god or goddess, they're using their own willpower and magic to bring about real change. Now that we've talked about how rituals are performed, let's look at the goals of these rituals. On the right-hand path, the goal is often spiritual growth and inner peace. Practitioners want to align themselves with the universe and bring about positive changes like healing or protection. It's about working with the flow of life to become more balanced and spiritually connected. On the left-hand path, the goal is usually personal transformation and empowerment. Practitioners want to break through barriers, control their own destiny, and shape their reality according to their will. The focus is often individual growth and power rather than spiritual unity. It's important to understand that neither the left-hand path nor the right-hand path is right or wrong, as I mentioned earlier. They just have different approaches to magic and spiritual growth. Some people might feel more drawn to the harmony and balance of the right-hand path, while others might feel empowered by the independence and personal transformation of the left-hand path. When you dive into the world of spirituality and magic, you'll often hear about things like morality, ethics, and social rules. These are important in everyday life, but they play a special role in the left-hand path and the right-hand path. Let's start with the basics. Morality is the idea of right and wrong. It's the set of rules that tells us how we should act, treat others, and live our lives. These rules usually come from things like religion, culture, or society. For example, many people agree that lying, stealing, or hurting others is wrong. Morality is what helps us figure out how to be good people and live peacefully with others. But when it comes to magic and spirituality, people have different ideas about where morality comes from and how strict those rules should be. This is where the left-hand path and the right-hand path differ. On the right-hand path, there's a strong focus on universal morality. Practitioners on this path often believe that there are cosmic or divine rules that apply to everyone. These rules help keep the world in balance and ensure that people treat each other with kindness and respect. People on the right-hand path usually feel that following these rules helps them stay connected to the universe or a higher power. If you're following the right-hand path, you might believe that certain actions like helping others or being honest are always the right thing to do, no matter what. In this way, you're aligning yourself with the natural order of the universe. You're working with the energy of balance, peace, and harmony, making sure your actions match the greater good. For example, in Wicca, there's a rule called the Wiccan Rede, which says, "And it harm none, do what ye will." This means that as long as you're not harming anyone, you're free to do as you wish. But if your actions cause harm, whether to yourself, others, or the world, then you're going against this moral code. People on the right-hand path believe that when you act with kindness and care, you bring positive energy into the world. Now let's switch gears to the left-hand path. Practitioners of the LHP tend to see morality in a different light. Instead of following universal rules set by society or a higher power, they believe in personal morality. This means that each person gets to decide what's right or wrong based on their own beliefs, needs, and desires. If you're following the left-hand path, you might believe that your morality comes from within. You decide what's best for you, not what society or religion tells you to do. You're focused on personal empowerment and making choices that help you grow and succeed. While you're not necessarily looking to harm others, you're also not bound by strict moral rules that don't make sense to you. For example, some people on the left-hand path might follow a philosophy like Thelema, which says, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." This doesn't mean doing whatever you want with no thought for others. It means following your true will or your highest purpose. On the LHP, you're not trying to live by someone else's rules. You're creating your own path based on what's right for you. Another big difference between the two paths is how they view social constructs, the rules and expectations society puts on us. These can include things like laws, cultural norms, or even religious beliefs. On the right-hand path, there's a general respect for these social constructs. Practitioners often believe that society's rules help maintain order and balance in the world. For them, being a good person means working within these rules and helping create a peaceful, harmonious world. In many ways, they see themselves as part of a larger community, and their actions are meant to benefit not just themselves, but everyone around them. On the left-hand path, things are a bit different. Practitioners of the LHP often challenge social constructs, seeing them as limiting or outdated. They believe that true growth and empowerment come from breaking free of these rules and creating your own path. If society says you have to follow a certain religion, act a certain way, or live by certain laws, people on the LHP might ask why. If those rules don't make sense for them, they're willing to go against them to live a more authentic life. It's important to understand that neither the left-hand path nor the right-hand path has a better approach to morality and ethics. They're just different. The right-hand path emphasizes universal morality and working within the rules of society and the universe. The left-hand path focuses on personal morality, breaking free from societal limitations to follow your own true will. When it comes to these paths, there are many different traditions and schools of thought that people follow. These traditions are like spiritual families, each with its own unique beliefs, practices, and key figures who have influenced the way people think about magic and spirituality. Let's start with the right-hand path. This path includes many spiritual traditions that focus on harmony, unity, and connecting with a higher power. People who follow the RHP often believe in working with the natural flow of the universe, and their practices are about creating balance and peace. One of the most well-known RHP traditions is Wicca. Wicca is a modern pagan religion that focuses on the worship of nature and the god and goddess. Practitioners of Wicca perform rituals to celebrate the cycles of the moon and the seasons, often casting spells to promote healing, protection, or love. Wicca also teaches the Wiccan Rede, which says, "And it harm none, do what ye will." This means that as long as you're not hurting anyone, or including yourself, you feel you're free to explore and practice magic. Wiccans are known for their respect for nature and their commitment to living in harmony with the world around them. Another RHP tradition is Hermeticism. This is an ancient system of spiritual knowledge that focuses on understanding the deeper mysteries of the universe. Hermeticism teaches that everything in the universe is connected, and through study and practice, you can come to understand the divine laws that govern life. One famous idea from Hermeticism is the phrase, "as above, so below," which means that what happens in the heavens, the spiritual world, reflects on what happens on earth, the physical world. Hermeticism emphasizes wisdom, balance, and self-improvement. The right-hand path has been shaped by many important figures throughout history. One of the most influential figures in Wicca is Gerald Gardner. Gardner is often called the father of modern Wicca because he helped bring Wicca into the public eye in the mid-20th century. He taught that Wicca is a nature-based religion that honors the cycles of the earth and the divine energies that flows through all things. Gardner's work helped Wicca become one of the most popular pagan religions today. In Hermeticism, one of the key figures is Hermes Trismegistus. While Hermes is a mystical figure, he is said to have written important spiritual texts known as the Hermetic Corpus. These writings are filled with wisdom about the nature of reality, the universe, and the divine. Many people in the RHP look to these ancient teachings for guidance on how to live a balanced and spiritually aware life. Now let's explore the left-hand path. Traditions on the left-hand path often focus on individual power, personal freedom, and breaking away from traditional rules. People on this path believe in using magic to shape their own destiny and achieve personal transformation. One well-known LHP tradition is Luciferianism. Luciferianism is a spiritual belief system that sees Lucifer not as a devilish figure, but as a symbol of enlightenment, rebellion, and personal empowerment. Luciferians believe in seeking knowledge, challenging authority, and finding their own path. They don't see Lucifer as someone to worship, but as a representation of human potential. The goal is to become stronger, wiser, and more independent through self-exploration and the pursuit of truth. Another LHP tradition is Satanism. While there are different types of Satanism, many modern Satanists, like those who follow the teachings of Anton LaVey, don't actually worship Satan. Instead, they use Satan as a symbol of personal freedom and rebellion against traditional religious rules. LaVeyan Satanism, which comes from the Satanic Bible, teaches that individuals should follow their own desires and not be limited by the rules of society or religion. It's all about self-empowerment and living life on your own terms. The left-hand path has also been influenced by many key figures. One of the most famous is Aleister Crowley, an English occultist who created the spiritual philosophy of Thelema. Crowley believed that every person has a unique true will, which is their highest purpose or destiny. His famous quote, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," reflects this belief. Crowley's teachings encourage people to discover their true will and follow it, regardless of what society or religion might say. Another influential figure is Anton LaVey, who founded the Church of Satan in the 1960s. LaVey's form of Satanism is more about personal freedom and individualism than actual devil worship. He encouraged people to embrace their desires, take control of their lives, and challenge the traditional ideas of right and wrong. LaVey's work helped shape modern left-hand path thinking, especially around the ideas of independence and self-determination. Choosing which path feels right for you can be a personal and even exciting decision. Both paths offer unique approaches to spirituality and magic, and while they may seem completely different, some people find ways to blend aspects of both into their practice. I personally do that. I incorporate both into my practice, so I know it's totally possible and totally achievable. Let's discuss what it means to choose a path, whether you have to stick with just one, and how to find a balance between the two. Don't worry, there's no right or wrong choice, and we'll break it down so that everything's easy to understand. Choosing a path doesn't mean you're committing to a strict set of rules or that you can never explore other options. Instead, it's about finding what resonates with you and your personal beliefs. For some, this means identifying with the right-hand path, where harmony, spiritual growth, and connection to a higher power are central. For others, the left-hand path, which focuses on individual power, self-discovery, and breaking free from traditional norms, and that feels more authentic for them. Choosing a path is like picking a way to express yourself. On the right-hand path, you might feel connected to nature, the universe, or a god or goddess. You want to work with the energies around you and find peace and balance in life. You follow cosmic rules that help guide you on your spiritual journey. If that feels right to you, then you might find yourself more drawn to the RHP. On the left-hand path, however, you might see yourself as the creator of your own destiny. Instead of following rules set by others, you make your own and focus on personal empowerment. You use magic and spirituality as tools to grow and shape your life according to your own will. If that sounds like your style, the LHP might be where you feel most comfortable. Here's the good news. You don't have to stick with just one path. Many people find that they are drawn to aspects of both the left-hand path and the right-hand path. This is completely normal, and there's nothing wrong with taking what works for you from each path. Again, I do that so it totally works. You might love pizza, but that doesn't mean you can't also enjoy a great burger. In the same way, some people appreciate the harmony and the connection of the right-hand path while also enjoying the independence and self-empowerment of the left-hand path. You can combine elements from both paths to create your own unique spiritual practice. For example, you might like the idea of connecting with the universe and following natural cycles, like in Wiccan rituals, but you also believe in personal transformation and breaking free from traditional rules, as seen in Luciferianism. There's no need to choose one over the other. You can create a practice that combines these beliefs and feels authentic to you. Finding balance between the left-hand path and the right-hand path is a personal journey, and it might take some time to figure out what feels right. It's okay to explore both paths before making any decisions. In fact, exploring both can help you understand yourself better and give you a deeper sense of what you truly believe in. If you're leaning toward the right-hand path but still want some independence, you might focus on spiritual growth and harmony, but also work on building personal strength and confidence. On the flip side, if the left-hand path speaks to you but you don't want to completely abandon the idea of connecting with something greater, you can still honor natural cycles or deities while you're focusing on your own self-empowerment. It's all about finding what works for you. Some people spend their entire lives exploring these paths, evolving and changing their beliefs as they grow. There's no rush or pressure to make a final decision. When deciding between the left-hand path, the right-hand path, or a blend of both, it's important to listen to your intuition. This means trusting your gut feelings and being honest with yourself about what you truly believe. Spirituality is a deeply personal experience, and no one else can tell you which path is right for you. If something feels off or doesn't resonate with you, don't force it. Trust that you'll find your way with time and exploration. Trust me, be patient. One of the most important things coming up in all of this stuff is being patient. One important thing to remember is that spirituality isn't just about reaching a final destination. It's about the journey. The path you choose might change over time, and that's okay. You might start on the right-hand path and later feel more drawn to the left-hand path, or vice versa. The key is to stay open, curious, and willing to grow. As you explore both paths, you'll learn more about yourself and what brings you happiness, peace, and fulfillment. Whether you choose to follow the harmony of the RHP or the empowerment of the LHP, or a blend of both, your spiritual path is a reflection of who you are and what you value. In exploring the left-hand path and the right-hand path, we've seen that these two approaches to spirituality offer different but equally valid ways to grow, empower yourself, and connect with the universe. Whether you choose to follow the RHP, which focuses on harmony and working with the natural flow of life, or the LHP, which is about self-empowerment and creating your own destiny, both paths encourage deep personal reflection and growth. It's important to remember that neither path is inherently better than the other. The right path is the one that resonates with your beliefs and helps you on your own spiritual journey. Ultimately, your spiritual path is your own, and you don't have to follow anyone else's rules. You can explore, learn, and even mix aspects of both the LHP and the RHP to create a practice that feels right to you. What matters most is that you feel connected to your path and that it helps you grow into the person you want to become. Trust your instincts, stay curious, and enjoy the journeys as you continue to discover who you are and what spirituality means to you. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Witch in the Working. Do you follow the left-hand path or the right-hand path? Do you mix the two instead? Let us all know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to ring that little bell to be reminded of wonderful and exciting future episodes to come. I love you guys and gals. Blessed be.